Hi everyone, so I'm going to do a little bit of a different video today. See, I don't have a green screen set up or anything like that. It's just more of a serious chat about the registration issues that FFG Games suffered for Worlds 2016. I wanted to try and give my personal thoughts on it and then just cover some of the more popular opinions and things that have been thrown out there. So, first off, need full transparency. I didn't win regionals for Imperial Assault or X-Wing this year, so I had to go through the same process as everybody else to try and get tickets. So once I saw how the process was going to work this year with 3 different days, I decided that I was going to get up at 6:30 a.m. before work on Tuesday and sit around with everybody else and take my pot shots at getting tickets. Imperial Assault was the one I wanted to get a ticket for the most, so obviously that's the one I selected first. And then I was going to move on from there. I also had the cunning plan that X-Wing was going to be the more popular game, so if I can get a ticket for Imperial Assault, don't get one for X-Wing. There's still a lot of Hangar Bay events, Team Epic, and then the Sunday closing tournament as well. So I was quite happy that even if I didn't get one for X-Wing, I was going to be able to play some X-Wing at Worlds and have a bit of fun there. So that was the way I came into this. 8 o'clock came round, and it was 7 a.m. for me, and I started the registration process and hit the same throttling issues that everybody else did. Eventually, I think it was 40 minutes later, I managed to secure a ticket for Imperial Assault. So I do have a ticket. If you feel like that's going to influence how I'm going to talk about this, there's not much I can do. But full disclosure, I didn't get a ticket for anything else across the other 2 days and the rest of Tuesday. I'll probably try again for X-Wing or a Game of Thrones after the regional tickets come out. But that's my disclosure part of it done. So on to the actual issues that people have faced, and so FFG's website is not equipped to take that influx of people trying to get tickets for Worlds. So obviously they use a third-party ticketing service, and for Tuesday and Wednesday they went with WePay. WePay's done okay. I've used it for other things before, not seen these kind of issues, but it is worth noting that the standard API pulls from WePay are 30 pulls every 10 seconds. And I was chatting to somebody yesterday when I was playing a game against them, and he said that he hit that on his own because he had 5 windows open and was hitting F5 on all of them. So that's what caused the throttling issues. Just a mass influx of people trying to get the tickets. You'd like to think, and if FFG didn't let WePay know, they'd need to raise that. Obviously, there's no defending FFG, but we don't know. So I'm going to run on the assumption. I'm going to explain any assumptions that I make in this video, just so you can see my train of thought. And I always try and give 2 sides to any discussion. It's one of the things that people hate about me the most. But the assumption I'm going to make is that they did tell them the kind of volume they were expecting. So the ball then goes to WePay, and if you increase that by a factor of 10 and give them 300 API pulls every 10 seconds, that still isn't enough. But that the ball's in WePay's court there, so FFG has done their due diligence in telling them it's WePay who's dropped the ball. That doesn't absolve FFG because they're still paying WePay, but there's issues I'm going to bring up later on in the video, just to try and cover that it isn't just out of frustration. Then they did the correct thing in my mind. They put out as much mass media on social media as they could explaining the issues, what was going wrong, and that they'd paused registration and they were going to reopen it. They were going to give 30 minutes notice when they reopened, just so that you didn't have to sit there mashing F5. Obviously, some people, myself included, sat in the window not wanting to give up a ticket I'd held and kept going until it went through. So, I mean, I've used the internet for a long time. I know how that kind of stuff works. I know that if I'm in that page and I don't get kicked out of it, I will eventually get my ticket. So that's why I chose to stay in and sat at my computer for 40 minutes. But I still feel that that was my choice, and it's not FFG's fault that people did that. So that was day one. They obviously weren't happy. The general public wasn't happy. A lot of bad feelings on Twitter, social media, and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of posts, and I'll go into it after we've covered all 3 days, but obviously the Wednesday was still with WePay. Went in and had similar issues. Again, full disclosure, I was at the computer, but I was playing Battlefleet Gothic Armada at the time, and decided that I was going to finish a mission I was on and then just check, because I'd already secured a ticket. So I then missed out. X-Wing had already closed, which didn't surprise me. I think I was like 30 to 40 minutes after registration opened. So I didn't expect to get a ticket for X-Wing at that point. I was a little bit disappointed that Game of Thrones had sold out that quickly, because I was hoping to get in for that, but c'est la vie. Then an important fact to note, and I'm gonna come back to this later in the video. Like, I'm gonna be bouncing around the timeline a little bit, but for the Thursday, FFG actually changed the service they were using to do the ticket sales. Just let that sink in for a second. So the run-up for Worlds didn't start this week. They knew about it, they planned, they'd booked WePay, they'd sorted all of that out. For them to then change it halfway through the sales must show that there were massive issues with WePay. So you can fault FFG for originally picking WePay, but you can't fault them for trying to change and trying to resolve a problem. And to do that at such short notice, so far this isn't cheap in the corporate world. So personally, I give FFG massive props for doing that. The fact that it may have not worked out and there were still different issues and things like that on the Thursday. Again, what would you rather it didn't happen? So that's just my thoughts on it. I'm not going to say that World's registration was perfect, because obviously I'd be lying to you. FFG aren't saying that. There is, let me just pull it up. Where is it? Yeah, I'm just going to pull the website up so you can actually see all the different things that we've got. Yeah, so in fact, there it is. It's on the FFG website, Join Us for Worlds. There's multiple updates to this article where they actually are asking for feedback. Even if you've sent them emails, you need to go and do it on this form. This is awfully professional. Yeah, so find this article and just go over and basically fill it out, let them know, and it does ask for your personal details so that they can do everything they can to rectify the situation. It asks for what your primary interest in game was, when you tried to get on, what issues you had, and if you'd be interested in an extra attempt to try and get tickets. So I'm going to be pretty blunt here. If you don't go and fill this out and don't put down that yes, you want an extra chance to get tickets, you have no right to complain, because they're offering out the olive branch. If you throw it back in the face and say, I don't have time for that, well, it's obviously not that important to you. So feel free to keep jumping on the social media hype train, but I don't really care enough about your opinion. So there you go. This is my video. If you want to have an even more complaining one, I'll probably watch it, and we'll have a bit of a chat. But if you butthurt about it, use this facility that they've given you. Don't just spam stuff at them on Twitter, spam stuff at them on Facebook, send them horrible emails to organised players Modi. Actually use the thing that they're giving you to try to rectify the situation. So now I'm going to come on to some of the actual things that people have brought up about Worlds, and obviously how easy it would be to fix it, because it's only a week-long event for multiple game systems. X-Wing, Armada, Imperial Assault, card game, Android Netrunner, Game of Thrones, and Conquest. So 7 games ran concurrently with multiple side events each day. It seems really like it's pretty simple, and I don't understand why FFG can't get their act together and run this. Now, slightly facetious there, just in case you couldn't spot it. It's worth pointing out that actually at Worlds last year, I thought the events were ran extremely smoothly. FFG does run solid events. The registration for Worlds might be getting a reputation as being notoriously bad, but the actual running of the events, so the things that the people involved with organised play actually do hands-on, it's relatively good. So what I will say is that last year's issues aren't the same issues they had this year. This year's issues won't be the same as they have next year. They are making improvements, but I've seen it referred to as obviously trial by error and not being good enough, which is fair enough. But one of the things that I've seen is why don't you just do a lottery? I wanted to analyse this point, because I do agree that that's one of the fairest ways to actually hand out the tickets, and it's just going to come in. I'm going to give the reasons why a lottery would be good, and then I'm going to bring in the reasons why I personally believe that they don't do that. So reasons why a lottery are good is that you still get to reserve all of the North American, so that's Canada and the USA. All of the regional winners still get the ticket reserved. All of the national winners still get the ticket reserved. But then everybody else gets the same chance to get a ticket. You'd have, the way I would implement it would be, registration for Worlds is open for a week. You register your interest, you give them your card details that you're planning on paying, you register for what event you want to play, and then at the end of that week, the names are pulled out of the hat, your bank card is charged, you have the tickets reserved, and then you go from there. And that then, hopefully, just from that description of a pretty simple way to do a lottery for tickets, you're starting to see some issues already. Issue 1 would be, you want to play multiple events because it's Worlds and you're there for a week. So if you put your name down for X-Wing, and then that's on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and then you also put your name down for Game of Thrones card game, which is on the Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. It's one of the first days anyway. And then you only actually get drawn out for a Game of Thrones. Do you still want to go? Are you still going to book your hotel for the entire week, even though you might not know that you're going to get one ticket or the other? If you book, so that will lead to people only booking for a primary event. because they don't want to have multiples. And then if someone puts down every one of them to give the best chance to get into Worlds, if they actually get every ticket, they have to pay for them, because that's the only fair way of doing it. You can't have people register for a ticket and then, I don't actually want that one because I got the one I really wanted, so I don't need it, because that's unfair to people who wanted that ticket and not the other one. So it's similar to how they did the London Olympics when I was in the UK, and the lottery we had there, that you're actually charged for a ticket immediately, and you had to have the money available on the card. If you didn't have the entire payment available, you didn't get any of your tickets. And it starts to open up massive alarm bells for people when you actually go into it. So the other thing I also thought about this specific one is people I know personally. So you've got Paul LaRue and his son John Luke went to Worlds last year. John Luke is younger than Nathan was. And what do you do in that case? Do you register? If Paul and John Luke register for tickets, you've got to do it separately because it's the only fair way to do it. John Luke gets a ticket for Worlds, Paul doesn't. He has to pay for that ticket, but we can't. They've now got to pay from both to go, but only one of them play. And obviously in that case it would be legal guardian, so he would be able to get in. But you've got issues like that where if you're booking for a family to go, it's a lot harder to actually get the tickets you need to actually make the trip worthwhile. So there's those kind of issues. And that's even without going into how you actually plan the registration for the lottery. Do you do it by email address? Because I've got 5 email addresses. So I just register every one of them. And then if I got all the tickets, brilliant. I'll just get multiples of the stuff, whatever, because I really, really want to go. And it does lead to a situation where you get people who have more money will be willing to pay twice the price for a World ticket. So if they get to, they're not as bothered, but it gives them double a chance. So I'd heard that one of the things that would been suggested, some Magic the Gathering style system for X-Wing and Star Wars, FFG events now, that you get a player ID number when you play a Star Championships or above, and that one sticks with you for your entire FFG gaming life. I think that's a really good idea regardless of World's registration. I feel like X-Wing is in a good enough place now where we can have that kind of system, and it's something I'd like to see them implement. And I think that's the only way you could do a lottery with that kind of system, because at least then it's registered to a player. But even then it does exclude people from certain countries who don't have access to organised player kits. So I believe there's some form of issue or something with Mexico where they can't sell kits down there because of something with Lucasfilm. Again, this is all stuff I've heard second or third hand, so don't quote me on these, but for example, if that is exactly the case, how would you you'd have to play a different event that's non-Star Wars based to get your player number to then be able to register for Worlds. And it's just stupid stuff like that even though it's the best implementation I can think of for it, still has problems. One of the other things I've heard is why don't they just split it off? Well, they are doing. So Star Wars is becoming its own thing next year. Everyone should know about this already. It's been talked about a lot. It's one of the things that the community suggested. FFG implemented it, but obviously the planning starts that far in advance that it wasn't possible for this year. So everyone who complains about it should all be its own thing. It is being. We've already fixed that. So hopefully Worlds in May, we'll see how that goes. I'm fully expecting to still be registration issues, because any event where supply is outstripped by demand is going to have some form of issue. And it's one of the key factors I feel like we get in these arguments is the sense of entitlement that everyone, when you think about it, understands that people will miss out, and realistically that's not outside of acceptable standards. We all know that not everyone can get a ticket to the event because it's capped. And Steve Horvath said last year in an interview that everyone who wants to play at Worlds should be able to play at Worlds. And that's a very noble thing to say, but outside of doing uncapped number of flights that you're only going to do after you've sold tickets, which again is impossible before reasons of scheduling and stuff like that, it's not going to work. So there's always going to be somebody disappointed, but the sense of entitlement that we have is that it shouldn't actually be me. It should be somebody else who's disappointed. And that's part of the confusion I have when I read some of these things. It's like, I can't believe I didn't get a ticket. I was sat there pushing F5 for 20 minutes. It's like, well, so was everybody else. So someone's going to miss out, guys, One of the other things that I want to bring up, and this is specifically tailored towards X-Wing now, is that if we assume, and this is another series of assumptions, so X-Wing has day 1A and 1B, which was the Friday and then the Saturday, and then day 2, which is the cut on the Sunday. So I've already said that if you're a winner regional in North America, you get a seat reserved. If you win a nationals, you get a seat reserved. So Canada got 7 regionals. So that's 7 seats out of day 1A and 1B, because they've reserved a seat, so you then have to reserve a seat in both flights for them, because it's got to be dictated by the player which flight they want. So, and then you've got the USA. How many regionals would you say? I'd probably guess that there was at least 100 regionals. At least 100. I'm going to lump Canada in with that. And then maybe 20 nationals around the world as well. So just a random figure, we're going to go with 120 seats, and that's from each day, taken up by people who might or might not use those tickets. So that's actually almost half if we assume that each flight has got a 300 player cap. So almost half of the tickets for each day weren't available for sale. So, FFG have said that they're going to release these regional tickets on this day. Feel free to be angry now, but you need to start understanding these other issues and why it might be the way it is, and why we might just be overreacting with a bit of mob mentality. So once those tickets go back on sale, I'm relatively confident that it'll all be okay. It was last year, near enough everybody who wanted a ticket got a ticket last year. There was even a couple of no-shows. I know somebody managed to get a ticket transferred to them, even though they're non-transferable. I'm not going to say any more than that. I don't want to drop people in the shit too much. But these are the kind of things that we don't think about when we rage about having to push F5, or rage that the ticket's sold out in 5 minutes and why isn't it better. I mean, things that I'd like to see would be they should have spread those time zones that we were being open out even more, because for me, I could have quite easily tried to register on the dot for every one of those days. 7 a.m, 1 p.m, and 7 p.m. I can do it on my cell phone. I can have the page open, ready to go, hit refresh, autofill. So even if I'm at work, I can do that on my phone in the space of 2 minutes. And yeah, I might not be able to sit there hitting refresh But if everything went smoothly and that didn't have to happen, I feel like that's still weighted towards North America as being able to get tickets. They should have had a time zone for an 8 a.m. in Europe. So a 1, 2 in the morning type of American time zone thing. That's what I would have liked to see, just to spread the chances out a little bit better. And then the other thing is, if people talk about using external venues and stuff like that, one of the problems I saw straight away with that is the only games that could probably support an external venue would be Netrunner and X-Wing. And the people who suggested that mainly suggested it for the days pre-cut, because they still want to have the cut in the game centre where all the streaming's happening. So if you do that, you're then taking the staff who will be running the Hangar Bay events and putting them into an external venue, because both places still need to be manned. And you've got the issues of whereabouts that venue is, travelling time, and how you actually get players to that venue. Because I've booked a hotel, I'm in the Radisson this year, because it's awesome and it's right next to FFG. But if then the venue's on the other side of St. Paul, and you fly in, you've got to then get a taxi there, taxi back. What are the facilities going to be like? If you choose to stay there and make the cut, you've then got the issues of trying to get to FFG for the finals. And none of this stuff is an ideal solution. So that's why I just wanted to bring this up and do this video. Hopefully, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. I got a ticket, I didn't get all the ones I wanted, but I'm still getting to go, so that might have curbed my anger somewhat. But I like to think I'm a pretty reasonable person anyway. And just take a breath, understand that, yeah, it didn't go perfectly, but nothing actually massively went wrong. People still managed to get tickets. If you didn't get one, fill out the form. Hopefully they'll add in an extra day where you can register, and then understand the number of tickets that should be coming back onto a market after the regional winners. And, it'll be okay. Worlds this year does have more seats, but I think I've heard a number around about 30 to 40% of the available seats is what have been on sale and sold already. So just accept that there's a lot more seats for Worlds coming, and try not to panic too much. So, even if we go with there's still 30% of the tickets available, that's still 60 tickets per day for X-Wing if it's a 200 player limit, which it won't be. It should be like 250, 300, I'd expect. So there should be at least 100 extra tickets for X-Wing becoming available. So chill out. If you're feeling frustrated, use the correct means to let FFG know. And always be polite. And remember, they're people too. So if you've got any good things to say, feel free to send FFG Organised Players Modi Games an email just saying thanks a lot for whatever, and give them some positive feedback, try and brighten up the day, because I'm sure they're not enjoying this. I remember one of the tweets I read, in fact I'm going to pull this tweet up because it was one that I really enjoyed reading, and it's unfortunately hidden away as a comment. I'm just going to bring the window capture up. Yeah, so there we go. So they've managed to break the Episodies server as well. That's the one that they changed to. So, like I said, changing registration ticket but this is halfway through. Whereabouts is this tweet haunted? Oh, damn. Oh, I can't find it now. Basically, it's a reply to someone's asking, why can't he get it right? And basically, it comes out and I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually been removed, because I would think it was a relatively unprofessional tweet. But it was along the lines of, yeah, we're all frustrated too. This week has been a lesson in how third-party sellers are allowed to lie to you. So from that, I can only assume that they're talking about WePay. And then Yapsody, or whatever it's called, they've obviously told them the demand they were expecting, were told that they'd be able to handle it, handed over the money, and then it all went to shit. So I've got a little bit of sympathy, but then, as I said, I got my ticket, so why should you all care? And thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to try and do a couple more of these opinion-based pieces and see if people like them or not. We'll see. Thanks for watching, guys.